Good morning, grade 8. This is our story, The Drummer Boy of Shiloh. We have taken it before, but we haven't taken the summary. So this is the summary, and then we will watch the main points as a question and answer. Joby is a young drummer boy, around 14 years old. He wanted to join the army during the Civil War. He joined, but only to beat the drums. Of course, we said in the class that he tried to join the army many times, but every time he went there, they refused him because he was just a young boy, 14 years old. He is camping with the rest of the soldiers in a field near to Shiloh. He is afraid of marching into battle with no weapons, only his drums and drumsticks. He thought that he was going to die because he didn't have a weapon, but only a drum. In his time out, he begins to hear whisperings that came from soldiers. He begins to count them. They were hundreds of men who would march into battle to fight. Joby reflects about his life and the soldiers' lives before the battle, but fear to death was constantly on his mind. Of course, he thought that he was going to die because his only weapon was his only drum and the drumsticks. He thought that if he had a weapon like the other soldiers, no one could hurt him and he wasn't going to die. He thought that if he died, the soldiers might go away with the battle and not notice him lying small there. He was so afraid that they may leave him and go. Lately, someone found him. First, Joby thought that the general who got close to him was someone rude and brave, but then he found him a friendly person and was like a father. The general was surprised to find Joby, as he was 14 years old, and even he told him that, "Boy, you haven't even shaved yet." The general started talking with Joby, trying to calm him. He told Joby that he also cried last night because he knew that the battle was hard to fight, and also he knew that many soldiers would die as they needed to be trained for 4 months. Of course, the general didn't mention these things to Joby, and he just told him that also he was worried about this battle. But of course, the general was a wise man. He could see his soldiers splashing in the creek, and he could imagine the future. He could imagine them. He could imagine their bodies lying and floating on the surface of the water. They were raw. They needed to be trained more. However, he encouraged Joby, explaining to him how important was a drummer boy in a battle, what made Joby strong to be with them. He wanted Joby to lead the soldiers by beating the drum loudly and quickly. He was going to be the heart of the soldiers. After this conversation, he changed his thought about the general and found him as someone who reminded him of a father. And also he discovered his sentimental side, what makes Joby reflected about the general's feelings and real behavior. The story ended with the death, but the soldiers found his dead body, and they were sad he had died. He was a brave young boy who loved his country. He was only 14, but more courageous than many men who were afraid to join the army. The drummer boy, one of the stories that was said that it was built on a real story. The theme of the story is to never give up and to be brave. This is the theme because at the beginning of the story, the main character Joby is interested in joining the war as a drummer boy, but he doesn't think he can do it. He thought he was weak. He had no weapons and only drums. The drum is a symbol in this story. It has a very, very important symbol. It symbolizes Joby's fear, his fear of war, because Joby is scared of war. And Ray Bradbury, the author of this story, suggests in the passage that he dislikes war, then this must be an important detail in the story. The general cried in this story as he thought deeply into the future. The worm will not be done in weeks, but take longer. He was afraid of thinking ahead. The drummer boy in the story is more of a main character rather than a minor character like the soldier. The general tried to give very important role to Joby, to beat the drum loudly, noisily. As he said, "You're going to be the heart of this army. If you beat the drums quickly, the soldiers will fight bravely." So he wanted Joby to beat the drums quickly and loudly. Unlike the drummers in today's modern army, Civil War drummer boys were an integral part of the army. Beside their primary job, which is beating the drums, drummer boys also acted as a stretcher, bearers, assistants, surgeons. They would walk around the battlefields to look for the wounded so they can be treated. A drummer boy had a very important part in the past. The general also has a very important role. He was like a father. He advised Joby. He liked Joby. There won't be time to cry once the battles begin. The general stopped to talk to the drummer boy when he realized that the boy is scared and needs encouragement. And then he talked to him to encourage him, and he gave him his role in a battle to beat the drum. It is a legend. Now we will see short notes, a question and answer, even with the meaning of the story, the difficult words in the story. Let's watch it.
Review. Where is the drummer boy when the story begins? What is he waiting for? The boy is lying under a peach tree as he awaits the next day's battle. 2. According to the boy, what is his only defense? His only defense is his drum, which, he says, is no more than a toy. 3. Describe the general. What does he say to help the drummer boy, Joby, understand his own importance? The general is a wise and experienced soldier. He tells Joby that the beat of the boy's drum will inspire the soldiers to make their best effort. He says that Joby is the heart of the army. 4. What does Joby do to his drum at the end of the story? He turns it so the top of the drum faces the sky. 5. How does the drummer boy feel about his situation? 5. How does the drummer boy feel about his situation? Why does he consider remaining behind when the fighting begins? The drummer boy is frightened, lonely, and vulnerable. He considers staying behind because he fears for his life. 6. How are Joby and the general alike? Both Joby and the general are fearful, and both have shed tears over the prospect of the next day's battle. 7. What is ironic, or unexpected, in the dialogue between the general and the drummer boy? How is the boy the heart of the army? The importance that the general attaches to the boy's role is unexpected. The general suggests that the boy is the heart of the army and that he believes his drumming will inspire the troops. 8. Why do you think Joby turns his drum to face the sky? Joby turns his drum face up because he has accepted his role. 9. Why, in your opinion, does the general say what he does to the drummer boy? Do you think it was wise for the general to speak so frankly to the boy? The general is doing for the boy what he wants the boy to do for the soldiers. He is trying to inspire him. 10. Joby is 14 years old. 10. Joby is 14 years old. Why do you think he and other soldiers enlisted to fight in the Civil War? Why do people enlist in the armed services today? Joby may have enlisted because he longed to do something heroic, to fight for freedom. Many people today enlist for the same reason. 11. What advice does the general give to Joby? The general advises Joby to cry now and get it out of his system. He tells Joby to beat a short, steady, long rhythm to keep the soldiers going. 12. How does Joby feel at the end of the story? Joby feels more prepared and focused for the battle to come. 13. What is historical context? The actual political and social events and trends of the time can explain why characters act and think the way they do. Look for factual details that link the text to a specific place and time period. Example: it was a long day of traveling. It was time to stop and rest for the night. The horses were tired and needed fresh water. The children were already fast asleep in the warmth and comfort of the family's covered wagon. Darkness was everywhere except for the multitude of stars and full yellow moon that lit up the night sky. 14. Serious, solemn. 15. In a twisted way, crookedly. Askew. 16. A divine blessing or the condition of being blessed. Benediction. 17. The state of living or lasting forever. Immortality. 18. In a way that follows the rules, legally. Legitimately. 19. Without speaking, silently. Mutely.
Back again to some questions that will help you while you read the summary and help you when you answer the exam. In what month and year did the battle happen? April 1862. In what state did the Battle of Shiloh happen? Tennessee. At what time of day and night did this story happen? At midnight. In what type of setting or place did the story happen? In a place full of peach trees. In this army, what was the role of the main character? The drummer boy was the main character, and his role was to beat the drums loudly, and he had to beat the drums quickly. The drummer boy Joby would be the heart of the army. He would learn, he would teach the soldiers if he beat the drums quickly. So this means that they are going to fight bravely. Why did he turn his drum upon its side? A peach stone fell from a tree and hit the drum skin, awaking him by the beat. He turned it upon its side to keep it from making noise. Another question. How was the main character's facial expressions described? He was serious. How old was he? He was 14 years old. In this army, what was the role of Joby? He was a drummer boy. Why did he turn his drum upon its side as a peach fell, awaking him by the beat? So he turned it upside down to sleep well. The drummer boy of Shiloh takes place during what? It took place during the Civil War. It is a solemn night for a boy just turned 14 in the drummer boy of Shiloh. Why? Because he knows he will be in the first battle soon. In the drummer boy of Shiloh, why does the drummer boy feel he will be in greater danger when the soldiers during the battle? As he has no weapon to use for fighting the enemy and protecting himself, Joby thought that he would die because he had only drum and drumsticks, and that the soldiers wouldn't die because they had weapons so they can defeat themselves. they can protect themselves. Which is the best description of the setting? The drummer boy of Shiloh, in a peach place, in a lovely place full of peach trees, in the middle of the night. In the drummer boy of Shiloh, why does the general say it is good for a soldier to cry before the fight? There won't be time to cry once the battle begins. What does the general stop to talk to? Why does the general stop to talk to the drummer boy in the drummer boy of Shiloh? As he realizes the boy is scared and needs encouragement. In the drummer boy of Shiloh, the general tells Joby that he too cried the night before. Why did the general cry? He thinks the war may last a long time. He knew that his soldiers would die. Many of them would die. Their bodies would float on the surface of the creek. He knew that his soldiers are not well trained. They need to be trained for 4 months. In the drummer boy of Shiloh, the general says that the drummer boy is the heart of the army. This is a short movie for the drummer boy. I hope you will enjoy it. The drummer boy has many symbols. One of the important symbols is the symbol of the peach. It symbolizes Joby's fear, his fear of war. The drum is the war, so he's afraid of the drum. The peach blossoms are also a symbol because several times during the story he mentions how the peach blossoms fell on the drum. He also says that nothing is as it once was, relating to the blossom. The Drummer Boy is a lovely story by Ray Bradbury. I hope you will like it. Thank you. Read the summary again. Thank you for listening.